Okay, hello Year 10 students. These were the topics of our practice SAC last week, and I wanted just to brainstorm them now that I've read and marked all of them. Feedback will come on Tuesday, but I think some practice in generating ideas, brainstorming, will be really useful for so many of you. So I thought I'd go through both topics, but I'll start with this one. So I think this was the first topic. Throughout the play, Reginald Rose reveals the ideal qualities that citizens in a democracy should possess. How does he achieve this? So notice here we've got the ideal qualities citizens in a democracy should possess or should have. And how does he achieve this? Please don't forget this part of the question. Now, even if it just said discuss here, your examiners, you'll get marks by analysing how the playwright does this. So whether it says discuss or do you agree or whatever it says there, it's actually asking, if you look at the criteria, this idea of how it achieves this is essential. So what literary techniques, what strategies does Rose use to actually reveal these qualities? So what you needed to do, some of you just sort of went, there are many positive qualities and Rose shows them, and you kind of were vague on what those qualities are. You needed first to think about what are the ideal qualities. So, and interestingly here, this question, it doesn't say the ideal qualities that jurors should possess, although that's the kind of, I guess, the assumption, but it's the ideal qualities that citizens in a democracy should possess. So you need to be thinking about the fact that the jury room in Reginald Rose's play acts as a microcosm. And if you don't know that, look it up, a microcosm for society. What that means is, the jury room kind of symbolizes the greater democracy of the whole nation of the United States. There's 12 men, but they're from different, like the jurors are from different walks of life. We've got an ad executive, we've got a painter, we've got a coach, we've got a self-made man who's the juror 3 and his mechanic, like automobile company. What's that, juror 10? I don't know, but you know what I mean. So what we're getting at is that it's by showing the ideal qualities of a jury system, he's actually revealing the ideal qualities of citizens in a democracy. And so we've kind of got to explore this idea that it's the jury room is a microcosm for society. And actually in all your essays, you should be doing that, because Reginald Rose uses the play to represent something greater than the jury room. Remember the context of McCarthyism that we talked about when we looked at context at the beginning. So this idea that when the play was written, Senator McCarthy had almost absolute power to detain people, to remove them from their positions in their workplaces, and essentially have them fired and have their whole futures stripped away because they're suspected of being communist. So it's a time when certain politicians had absolute power. And so while the jury room is not about that, but the jury room shows the importance of questioning evidence and not blindly believing facts as they're presented. Now that is a value that can absolutely translate into a greater society, okay? And so that is kind of what this question is getting at. So I'll just show you what I did. Different students did different things, and I commend you. There's some excellent responses. I will be sharing some of those with you in class on Tuesday. But you really need to think about what are these qualities. Now, some of you talked about courage. Some of you talked about standing up against injustice. Some people talked about being honest, having integrity, all of those things. Now, it doesn't matter what you chose as long as they are in the play and they are good qualities in a jury room, and therefore they're good qualities in a democracy. Okay, so the things that I thought of, I'll just show you now. I came up with these ones. I said that I just thought, what are the essential qualities in the jury room? But I also thought, what are these essential qualities? How do they translate to the real world? So I came up with these three. These are the qualities. The first is opposing prejudice in all its forms. So an ideal quality is to oppose prejudice, oppose racism, and oppose generalizing, stereotyping, etc. And I think the play's saying that about a jury room, but I think the play's saying that about society as well. And so for evidence for that, I'd be thinking, and I really thought of where all the jurors join together to collectively oppose the racist voice of juror 10, and the stage directions that depict that. Because remember, how does he achieve this? During Juror 10's racist monologue, the stage directions that show the rest of the jurors joining together through body language descriptors, where they turn their backs on Juror 10. They shut down all attempts of him to hijack the conversation through and this bigoted, hate-filled rant that he's going over. And so then how, I could talk about the stage directions. You could talk about the courage of the jurors who speak against racism, okay? And so how that's effective in the jury room to ensure that the voices of racist jurors don't take over the majority. So through standing up against the racist voices of an individual juror, such as Juror 10, the courage to do this enables a fair decision to be made, because this juror is not allowed to take over the deliberation with their racist, hate-filled ideologies. Okay, so that's my first idea. And my second idea, I thought, in the jury room was really important, but then I was going to translate it to McCarthyism and the importance of seeking the truth and questioning facts. Okay, so so another ideal quality that Rose reveals that citizens in a democracy need to have is the importance of questioning facts and seeking the truth. And here you could look at what facts are questioned, whether it's Juror 8 and his presentation of the knife that inspires the jurors to question the fact that this knife was unique and there's none other like it, whether it was the willingness to question the evidence that's presented about the L train, or the questioning the evidence that's presented about the woman's eyesight and the rivets. Actually, the idea that it's through seeking earnestly, responsibly, and honestly seeking the truth, questioning the facts. Because remember that one of those quotes is a really cool quote, that facts are coloured by the personalities of the people who present them. I actually can't remember the exact line, but it's certainly worth thinking about that idea that you can twist them any way you like. They're facts, you can twist them any way you like. Well, that's the very point. So I think that's a real value of the play, and something that is connected to the jury room, but also to citizens of a democracy. And the third one, I thought, was active and responsible participation in the democratic process, and whatever that looks like. So for this one, it might be opposing Juror 7 and his flippant attitude to the case. So when Juror 7 changes his vote because he just wants to get it over with, those voices that oppose that and urge him, and therefore urge all citizens in a democracy to take that responsibility seriously. So Juror 10's vote change you could refer to, or here even Juror 11's acknowledgement of the beautiful thing about democracy, that we are all notified by mail to come down here and we have no personal agenda or interest. I can't remember what the quote is, but no reason to decide on the guilt or innocent. And he says something beautiful line. It's like, this is why we are strong. And I feel like that authorial voice of Rose is really present in that. The idea of being an active and responsible citizen is to participate in the democratic process, and to do so with integrity and with honesty. And so some examples that you could use. Now, I didn't really have anything here. I didn't write them down, but here you could talk about the L train. So the interesting thing here is that this would allow a couple of juror paragraphs, but here it could be an evidence paragraph where you talk about the witnesses themselves, which could add depth to, remember we got to go deep and also wide. So the fact that we've got some juror paragraphs and evidence paragraphs, it'll allow a real, like a breadth and a depth to your discussion. So what was that I said? I said the L train, the eyeglasses, or the knife even, like just the fact that we're seeking the truth, questioning the facts. You could use any of them. You could use the evidence of I'm going to kill you. And honestly, it really doesn't matter what else you use. I think I saw somebody write about collaboration and their willingness to work together as being an ideal quality. Brilliant. Other people could talk about I think I said courage, and courageously standing up, those ideas of Juror 8 and Juror 9 being the first ones. It does not matter what you pick, as long as you can find your evidence to justify it, stand by it, and then you could connect the jury room to citizens of the democracy. So with your analysis, one thing I'm also noticing is that a lot of people are staying inside the text. And what I mean by that is you're staying inside the text by saying Juror 3 is prejudiced because of his flawed relationship with his son, and this prevents him from being able to make a fair decision in the jury room. So you're still inside the text. And the next step is we've got to go outside the text and think about, okay, well, what is Rose trying to teach us as an audience? Through this, Rose urges audiences to recognize their own prejudice and avoid it when making important decisions, for example. So that's the message to all of us, that moral lesson, okay? So the inside the text is what's happening. What does it say about Juror 3, Juror 10, the jury room, fairness for the boy? Outside the text is individuals, citizens of a democracy, urges the audience to realize the danger of letting emotions become heated and hijacked, and urges the audience to recognize the importance of standing up against injustice, standing up against voices of prejudice wherever they may be found in a democratic society. Hopefully you can see, as we analyze, we've got to do both inside the text and outside the text. And this question really allowed us explicitly to talk about inside the text, jury room, but outside the text, citizens of democracy. Anyway, that is hopefully a little bit of benefit to some of you, and I will see you in class on Tuesday.